It's always weird with the system. There's a delay every time I hit that button, so I never really
I
know
just
when it
feel
goes live.
like I feel like I was a lot more stately
Hmm.
and smooth jazz last week. Like this week, I
Yeah,
feel like I'm back to just being sort of whiny and soapboxy. But last week,
it's
I was like super mellow and
dude,
cool.
it's the lighting. I didn't realize that the lighting had such a big effect.
Big effect, yeah.
And I think I see you're
You
back
know,
to the normal microphone setup. Yeah, it
you
was
can
a
kind of
different
feel
kind
it.
of. It was more chill. Let's say that it was okay. I'm
Yeah.
cool with it. You were working through a lot of good stuff, but you brought up a lot of good points. I'll say that much.
I mean, I usually do, but I felt like last week I was in a much better like jazz cool place. You know what I mean? This week it's all gonna be about like,
It's just down.
twitchy.
Yes,
Yeah, this is all
boom.
downhill from here.
Net
Hey
neutrality
everybody, welcome
tries
to
to
a
come
tech
back, and
show.
Juan just goes out. It's like
I love it. I
so
love it. Well, this is where two old guys kind of check in with each other. Two pals.
yeah, a
We're
little.
we're gonna we're gonna
We
chat
try.
about some tech that we've been playing with and some stuff that we're excited for, which is an aptly named why our show is called the best of our week.
Yeah, yeah. I surprisingly, we're going to talk about it a little bit later on. I got to ask an AI system and said, tell me who tkbay is. But one of my accreditations, I'm a co-host of the Best of Our Week. It's actually in this. AI
Hey.
knows that you and I hang out on a weekly basis and we chit chat. So it is.
Good
It
job,
has been
AI.
said. So therefore, it is. That's the way.
It is so
It is
because
so.
AI has told us that
Hey,
it
once
is.
AI
So
knows, you know what I mean, right? Because everybody's going to be referencing AI. If they know, we're cool. If they don't know, like I asked
then they
actually
don't know.
TKBay, and apparently there is another creator called TKBAE. I did not know. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's not okay.
but
Now we got to go crusade. That there can only
they
be
can-
one.
yeah, everybody keeps saying like TK I'm like, yeah, but like, are we talking about her or me? Because her, it's a few. So when I asked the question initially, I said, who is TK? The AI assumed I'm saying Bay, BAE, as opposed to BAY. So it gave me that
Yeah.
creator. So when I said, who is TKBAY, I was like, oh, then it gave me all the correct info. But either way, you get that your answers are always going to be as good as the AI, the source data, right? So
Sure. So
it's
pretty much garbage. Ha
uh,
ha.
it's
Hot take.
if it's not a Google search, it's a Gemini search, a Bard search, a Chat GPT,
Right.
for whatever,
So
insert AI acronym in there. But
whatever the new Facebook one is too. But all joking aside, I really do want to thank Barry Johnson last
oh,
week
absolutely,
for. I mean, I think
yeah.
he's in the chat. Yeah, he's in the chat right now.
Oh, yeah,
It was an emergency,
yeah.
last minute wedding shenanigan for my cousin, and I realized like, oh, I was planning on being able to like set aside some time and like just do the show from the hotel room, and it was very impromptu that all of that got kind of tossed up in the air.
Weird enough, family and like events and stuff like that always creep up. I would say that 2 weeks before that, I had my own little. I thought I was
Yeah,
going to be able to do it back at the hotel, and everything's great.
it's
And
like,
then I'm like,
oh
but and
no.
like, oh wait, we're having dinner with the family. Like, wait, hold on a second. And yeah, I didn't even get back to the hotel that night, like till like 10 or 11 o'clock. So
Yeah.
it was not happening. So glad again. Thank you very for hanging out with us, kicking it with us as usual in the chat, and keeping us straight. But like I said, the lighting was much better on his side.
Yeah, I'm sure the show
Yeah,
was much more attractive
absolutely.
and was smoother and was also just like, yeah,
Hmm.
like you
No,
got you
no,
got you got some good beats bumping because it's
absolutely.
just got that kind of vibe.
It
But
is.
no,
It
it
is.
was really interesting. Like, so my cousin got married,
Hmm.
and it was a
Congrats,
really
by the way,
lovely
to your
ceremony.
cousin.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I get sort of a panicked message from him. Hey, so we have a photographer for the wedding venue, but my fiance's family wants to do their own smaller religious ceremony
Yeah. Okay.
without going into too many details and stuff like that. And I'm
I'm with
like,
you.
hey, that sounds cool. Are you inviting me to that? And then he goes, well,
Well,
because we only have the photographer at the venue, I was hoping you could come shoot this really meaningful ceremony for her side of the family.
yeah.
I have shot one wedding in my entire professional optical photography career, and it was the most stressful, nerve wracking event of my entire life.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
I
vowed
can imagine.
to never shoot another wedding ever again.
It's just it's such an
So
important day, regardless of where
it's
your
too
skill
much.
level,
It's
whatever.
too much
It's
pressure.
just it's so much, yeah. And then
I'm not
the
built for the pressure.
oh crap, yeah.
So
No,
I tell
I'm
him
with you.
like, hey, I can't really. First of all, like I've got these micro four thirds cameras, and I think
Mhm.
they would have done me well,
Yeah,
but I don't keep longer lenses for them because I don't need them in my office. Like I
you
think
don't
the
typically. That's
longest.
not the type of photography that we do. You're right.
No, I think the longest lens I have for micro four thirds is about a 70 millimeter equivalent.
Oh
Like that's not long.
no,
That's
that's
way
portrait. That's
too
not
close.
that is not telephoto.
And that's
Yeah.
like head and shoulder close up
Oh no, no,
portrait, not
absolutely.
like I can reach across a living
You're
room and
hovering
get a
around
good
the
shot.
80, which is that beautiful, the
Yeah,
perfect focal length there. But
for
yeah,
sure.
no.
Yeah. So I tell him like well, first of all, I'm like not equipped at all, and two, I really wasn't planning on like breaking stuff down and like traveling. That's like a whole extra massive
Oh,
bag to
the
pack
wedding
around.
wasn't in town. You actually.
It was down in San Diego, so I drove
Oh,
down.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So he like I can tell he's a little disappointed, and I tell him like I'll be happy to back up the other family members, and I can shoot some stuff on phones, and I'll do my best to try and get some good stuff.
Yeah.
But like like let's not count on me being able to roll up like real actual event photographer because also I, I am absolutely terrible at staging good like stage portraits, like
Hmm.
putting together a good staged portrait. That is not a skill I have. It's funny that you would say like, oh, well, if you're good at photography, it's like I'm good at very hyper specific genres of photography. You need a close up on a snail shell, I'm your dude. But I feel like I've got a really good feel for candids.
Hmm.
So I like taking photos at events and stuff, people going in for that hug, those kinds of moments and interactions. And so I told him, like, that's kind of what I think I'm good at. And so I make it down there. There's this gorgeous little ceremony. It's actually not dissimilar from a lot of like Native American and like hybridized Latino ceremonies
Hmm.
here in like Southern North America and Central America. Just like a lot of like, oh, they've got like flags and banners that are kind of like our papeles picados. Like I'm getting a lot of this, but I'm still having to like ask the family a lot. Like, if I'm shoving cameras in people's faces while they're praying, is that like terribly culturally insensitive?
Is
I
it
don't
respectful? No, no,
know.
exactly. You don't want to. You
I
don't
don't
want to
want
be
to be
that conversation.
disrespectful.
It's like the wedding was great, except for that one guy
Yeah, that pale
with
guy who kept shoving his phone in
with the
people's
phones
faces.
in the faces. Is like, does he not understand? No, yeah, no.
So I gotta say though, Vivo X100 kind of saved my ass.
Dude, it works 100 will rock anybody else's
It's
perpetual
so
ASS.
good. And so like so much of the ceremony was kind of like golden hour backlit
Oh, nice.
indoors.
Hmm.
So in the little like they had kind of retrofitted this Airbnb to be sort of shrines
I
and
like that.
and ceremony and stuff like that. And it was gorgeous like scenery.
Hmm.
But you've got these two people indoors,
Hmm.
not lit, backlit by all of
Ooh,
this.
a lot of silhouette.
And that's actually one of the strongest situations you can put a Vivo in is that crazy extreme HDR kind of photography.
Hmm.
Like it's so good at that low light night shot, lift up all of the shadow deal, shooting like near total darkness and then balance out highlights and lowlights, stuff like that. So I'm walking around almost the entire I think I've got the only non-iPhone there. And the families are just swarming with like all of the sort of iPhone photos and stuff.
Of
And I'm
course.
getting these moments like David looks over at his fiance looks up at him. They share like a little laugh or an inside joke quietly under their breath. Like all those really cute little moments. I think my family setup portraits are kind of crap. But I would show like, oh, look, here's that one little glance that she gave to him while he was participating in the ceremony. And it was like slowly by the end of the event, all of the rest of the family had started putting down their iPhone because I would just keep showing him these shots. And one person actually tried to call me out, like, but I mean, that's just like the phone screen making it look better, right? And I'm like, no, That's the photo. Here, I'll send it to you. And then we had to play that game of, well, how do I send a photo to an
An
iPhone so
iPhone,
it won't
yeah,
look
no.
like garbage?
Hey man, it's a legit problem, man. It's a legit problem. It's like we can't communicate with each other unless we have third-party apps that don't just, hot garbage our device
We
or our
had to
phone
slum
pictures.
it with email, and then he stopped ragging on me. It was pretty nice.
I'll say every time I've had the opportunity to show, like with the Vivo, with Oppo, with the, just
Yeah,
any other devices within the last couple of years, we've been really
Xiaomi,
pampered
Vivo,
those.
and
Absolutely.
Oppo.
And they look at them
Like,
like,
there's just
oh my
nothing
God,
touching it.
this came from your phone. I'm like, yes. Android is not trash, and not only that, there is a specific niche part of Android, or at least on Android devices, that produce much better images, like night and
Yeah.
day. iPhone has been so de facto, and it's just, to me, yeah, it's like you got to experience, you got to try, you got to see the other opportunities. I can't wait for iOS whatever 17 or 18 to come out, and when we start having better communication between Android and iOS, so that at least iOS doesn't
Yeah.
think that we're just, we're slumming it with, with a phone that can barely boot up and run Android kind of thing. Like, I don't know, it's a perception that needs to change, but I'm glad
But
that you were
I
able
feel
to
I feel like
enlighten.
it was a good display of like with what I feel would be kind of a limited tool in that
Mhm.
situation, in that kind of lighting condition. A phone is not optimal, but I think I had probably the best phone to try and accomplish those kinds of shots.
Exactly.
And like I'm telling you, man, like again, because of the nature of the ceremony, I did promise like I wasn't gonna just start posting this stuff all over social media. This was a private moment for
Well,
their
no, of
family, and I
course, of
wanted
course.
to keep it.
Plus, you want to get
But
the
like,
bride and the groom's approval, if there was any
sure,
sharing or anything like that. It is their photos at the end of the day.
yeah, absolutely. I feel like I kind of crushed it.
Well, so here's the thing: once you take the pressure off and you're able to be yourself,
Yeah,
the just the creativity kind of will flow by itself. That's the biggest thing about how, like, when you're going into something and you're like so stressed, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then somehow you're able to find a way to get that stress off of you, and then suddenly it's like, yes, it clicks. This makes sense. I'm seeing the moment. I'm no longer about
yeah.
me. It's about
And
them.
you're really
Yeah,
feeling like something is gonna happen. This is where I need to have my camera ready. Like
exactly.
there's this one, like we did do a couple of outdoor shots. Again, it was just beautiful sunlight. We
And
caught
you
like
say San Diego, I say beautiful weather, beautiful sunlight
right. It's
anytime.
just nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. But I caught this one of them walking back up. The house had this like long ramp,
Hmm.
and I caught them walking back up the ramp, and they're in like shadow.
Hmm.
But again, it's just one of those things where she turns to make a joke and he's laughing, and his hair's like blowing in the wind, and she's looking up at him. There's this nice like framing from the architecture of the house as they're walking down. So I've got a dramatic angle, and it's
Dude.
like you just felt this is gonna be a moment. You know what I mean? We were talking before about my daughter doing some softball stuff, and you're like, man, you just hit the flow, and
Hmm.
you can almost like feel before a moment's about to happen, a moment's about to happen, and like I'm ready to shoot it. It was really like I was feeling really strong
I'm glad.
about some of those shots. So
Yeah. No, no.
the next time we get to hang out, I'll show you some. But unfortunately for folks on the show, I really did make a sort of a commitment to letting this be sort of a private moment for the family.
And I'm very happy for them. And again, congratulations to the happy couple. And I
They're
hope
so cute.
they're enjoying their honeymoon, and they'll check out the pictures and they'll be like, yes, it felt, this is how it felt. It's
Oh, I
yeah.
was so excited. Like I felt like I got to see sort of the joining of our families privately.
Hmm.
And so you wrap up this event and are like, whew, well, I'm done. Oh, wait, no, we have
I
the
got.
whole other wedding ceremony that we have to
Oh yeah, yeah.
still
Because you
do.
you were right. That's right. You went to that secondary one, not the first one,
Yeah.
which made you like that. Yeah, you
So
went
I
to
was
the pre-show to
exhausted.
the show. Yeah, exactly. Like a
It
replay.
was amazing. It was lovely, but like I got to the actual wedding like I'm off the clock.
I'm assuming Lex and the family was both with you, or just
So, because it was because of travel happening during the week into the weekend,
oh,
because like
that's
it
right.
was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
They also, just to keep sort of some of the wedding in check. This has actually been a bit of a theme for a number of events with the
Hmm.
family. Is like minimizing how many people are in attendance by saying no kids.
Oh,
So this
okay.
was a no kids wedding. So like my brother came out, but his wife and their son stayed at home. Lex and Marie stayed. And we thought about maybe trying to get her down, but she would have missed she probably would have missed like 3 days of school. And then there would have been no kids for her to play with.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're
no,
just
I'm
sort of
with you.
stuck around the hotel. And there's some fun like San Diego's a great town,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's just a lot to then have Marie be like, "Well, I'll go take Lex to the zoo
'Cause
by
you have like
myself."
Carlsbad, if anything else. Like there's the beautiful flower gardens over there that are all in
Yeah,
bloom right now.
but
You're
again,
right. Yeah,
it's still like Lex and Marie going on an impromptu vacation in the middle of Lex's school week. It just didn't really make a lot of sense.
I'm with
So
you.
instead, it was me and my brother crash in a hotel room, and we're old. Like we we got to like 10 o'clock at night, and I had had one drink the entire day just because
Yeah.
my medication just rocks me on drinking a lot, and he had had like three, and we're driving home, and he is very socially lubricated, and it's 10 o'clock, and we're like, it's time for bed.
Little above. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you.
Okay, let's
I'm
just go home. It was hilarious because it was so sad.
It is. It is. I kind of understand it though, but yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, it's weird. So here's a weird thing for me. The sleeping part about it, which I'm not going to deny the fact that I like sleeping at a specific time, and it just I love being on the schedule. I wake
Yeah,
up early in the morning. If I don't, it just messes up my
sure.
entire day. When we travel, because of the time difference and because of the jet lag, I find that that's the best time when I'm able to, experiment or go out and stay up late and do different things. But when I'm home, or at least within the same time zone, it's a lot harder. I get it. Especially if, like you said yourself, I mean, especially when you add a little bit of alcohol in the conversation, that helps just get you more in that relaxed mode and you just want to, take it in.
Yeah.
The Irish Bagnells.
Oh
That's
man, they there was a side of the family that went and did an after party.
after
Like I
after party.
heard stories of like, hey, we went to this bar and shut this bar down, and then we went to another hotel room and they called to like complain about the noise. Like
Yeah,
apparently that was a thing
it is a
that
thing.
we didn't even get the word on because we had already made it back to the hotel room and fallen
You
asleep
got you
before
guys were in
people
La
had
La
sent
Land.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was bad, but it was really lovely, and again, that's so Aditya Nil asking where Barry, where's Barry? He was gracious enough to jump in to
Yeah.
back me up. So we should
But no,
probably get to our actual topics and stuff
well, I
because
mean, yeah, there's a,
I don't
there's a
know.
couple of things we're going to talk about. Like first, I'll say this: a quick update for everybody else. I finally was able to finish watching the three body problem. So that was my
Yeah,
first one, and I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of comments. But I
yeah,
also got a chance to finish watching Fallout, so that at least now we are somewhat simpatico in the show in the universe. Because actually, Fallout was not bad. I actually enjoyed Fallout a lot more than I thought I was
yeah.
going to.
Oh, big
Um,
time.
Three body problem was just um
It
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 it,
it makes you
it, it
make a face.
yeah,
It
and there
does.
and then the way it was built, and I do apologize for anybody that hasn't watched the show. This is obviously going to be we're going to be talking about some specifics, but in general, just overall opinions on my side. The
Sure.
way the story was portrayed from not reading the books, I am not familiar with
Right.
the way it's supposed to. As you said, you were explaining to Marie how things were and who what and what are they referencing and all of that. I was exposed to it for the first time. My wife sat with me through maybe the first half of the episode, and then after that she at that point just like stopped being interested because it turned into more sci-fi than anything, and I think that typically is
Sure.
not her topic. um I felt like the story to a certain point started off confusing, got better by the second, third episode. By the fourth one, I felt like the story could have almost ended, but then it kept going in a certain way. Um, when we started understanding a little bit more about, the people and all of that, there's so
Sure.
many things that don't make sense to me.
Mm-mm.
And how I mean the physics part of it is one part, but the other part is the gullible, how gullible they are, like how you
Oh yeah. See,
know.
I don't want to completely blame the showrunners. It's Wu and Weiss.
Uh-huh.
It's the showrunner. It's the two guys from Game of Thrones,
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah.
then they added a third showrunner, Wu. Um, I feel what you're describing right there, because I completely agree with you.
Mhm.
I feel this is a problem with television in general, where everybody's motives have to be like the dumbest, lowest common denominator, surface level.
Okay.
Like, think about how many movies you watch where a character's like, oh no, I have to act like I'm doing something bad, but that's a bad thing, so I will look really pained and conflicted so that the audience knows that I'm not really doing the bad thing, but I'm just acting like I'm doing. And like, there's like no subterfuge, there's
Mhm.
no like play. Like, even in Macbeth, Shakespeare will write a scene where a character lies to another character's face, but then doesn't turn to the audience to go, "Whoa, but I'm totally lying." You know what I mean? Like,
No, I'm with you.
this is something endemic to modern television, where it's like they have no faith in the audience's ability to follow character motivation, so we make the play as dumb as we possibly can. And I don't want to put that on the cast, because I think the cast of Three Body is amazing,
Oh,
but I
absolutely.
also think they're abbreviating so much story out of the three books in the first season that you kind of have to go with almost a cliff notes. Here's the next important moment, here's the next important moment, here's the next important moment, and you lose a lot of the connective tissue that helps explain motivation. So instead, you can't really imply motivation. You just have to make them, like you were saying, as obviously gullible and affected and upset about everything. Like,
Well,
the
it was
Latina character, she
yeah.
serves no purpose except to be upset by everyone else's actions. That's her whole character. That's the entire role. In the book, that character represents a more dynamic scientist who's drawn in to the plot of this secret community. But the show can't pause for a second to build her character up. It's
No.
always, I'm so offended that you're a playboy and sleeping around. I'm so offended that you're wanting me to do my job as a scientist. And her whole job as a scientist is sit in front of the computer to turn the computer on to do the science. And that's it. That's all
Oh,
they give her.
that's literally even at the even in the epicenter of her proving her technology works. All she did was
It's
just sit
literally
there.
just, I'm doing the science.
Exactly.
And
And then
sitting in
there's
front of like a
like
Dell
and no
workstation.
no like is it working? Why isn't it working? No, it's working. I'm like like
And
thank
like
you.
the
Move
the
on.
show is so simplified, because this
It
was a
is.
moment that I had to turn to Marie, where she's like, "No, shut the project down." And you're like, "This is a multi-billion-dollar technology
And she can just shut
corporation,
it down.
and one girl can just shut it
No, no.
down."
So,
Like,
but that's
okay,
those are the things
all
that make
right.
me kind of like interesting. Why would you make it so? But the biggest thing that kind of there was a turning point with the again they keep calling them my lord and whatever, but the alien basically alien race or whatever the
Hmm.
alien race is I actually don't even think we got the name of them. Um,
Well, in this they call him the Santi, which is
oh, that's right. No, no,
funny
the Santi. Yeah,
because
the
that
Santi.
is more legitimately, I believe, a sort of Chinese terminology for
Hmm.
this species. But in the English translation of the three body problem, they're called the Trisolarans.
Okay.
So it's funny, like the show,
The
in
Trisolarans. Yeah,
whitewashing everything
the three
else,
body is yeah
three body problem.
yeah exactly.
In whitewashing everything else and making it European and international, their one like toehold is, well, originally in Chinese they would have been called the Santi, so let's call them that in our show. And you're like, you picked the wrong part to honor the Chinese. Like, the
Well,
honorific here doesn't work.
there then
But
there are also
okay,
some
I
other
get it.
parts. No, no, but so the biggest thing that got me there is where I forget the name of the character was he was sitting there reading to me a story, right? The Little Red Riding story, and
Yeah.
talking about the wolf and how they like they're advanced enough to build tech to talk to you from 400 light years away, and they have VR headsets that just look like a block of metal. All of that stuff is
Hmm.
there, but the concept of not necessarily deception, but the misunderstanding,
A fiction.
like a fiction
Yeah.
where a person can't see the truth in front of them, even though it is maybe obvious to the reader to this. And then
Right.
they're like, like we would like to go talk to this wolf. I'm like, what? It's like he's fiction, and then they
It's
take it as an insult.
it's beyond literal. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I meant. They go from super simple, super gullible, very loving, very warm and fuzzy, to suddenly being offended by something so small, and they made that the focal length of their deviation of opinion. And then they go
Hmm.
quiet silence on that, and they let the entire boat go for sticking. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
really? All of that on the
Again.
Red Riding Hood? I didn't realize that story made that much sense. But that's what I'm
So
saying. As it was kept building on that event, the
right.
domino effect, the casualties and everything. It
Hmm.
was like, wow, what a way to flip a switch and say,
Twist.
oops, yeah, like sorry,
Yeah.
did not mean to flip that one. But yeah,
But that
I
is also something that I hate being that guy who's like, oh, but I thought the book was better. Well, yeah, because it's got like 800 pages to walk you through what was important in terms of the scientific discoveries, what was important to the humans prior to this modern era.
mhm,
Like, I, I wrote up what I feel is a spoiler-free review on my blog, and you can read that too. I'm
okay.
repeating some of that here, but there's there's something missing in how ambitious this entire project is,
Hmm.
because Three Body Problem, the TV show, is not Three Body Problem, the book. It's it's Three Body the book plus the beginning of Dark Forest and the beginning of Death's End. So we lost time to
Hmm.
Three Body Problem to also set up the plot lines of the next two books, because the books do something you can't do with television. They all start and feature the modern age and then slingshot into the future. So you can't do Three Body Problem and then at the beginning of Dark Forest say, but while Three Body Problem was happening, this was also taking place, and rewind people and then do that again for Death's End.
Okay.
So what? Because you'd have to like think back to the original 8 episodes and then piecemeal in what's going on. So I feel like we had to give up on some of what makes Three Body Problem an effective story, so that then we could prime the next two books. So this is super ambitious, and if Netflix doesn't follow through on completing the trilogy of
I really
books,
hope they do.
this
Yeah.
is an abysmal failure because they set up so much stuff from the next books. If we get the entire trilogy, this is probably the best way to do an entertaining version of the entire trilogy, even though I am a little let down by how they handled the first book.
Yeah, 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 I mean, it's definitely a
It's a
page turner.
lot.
You from what they have and what they put in there. And again, as I was finishing on the eighth episode, I'm starting more things in the first 6 or 7 episodes make sense, because you start
Yeah.
getting more information, like the throwback. I'm used to watching movies and shows that have a lot of sequences where they jump back and forth in the timeline.
Sure.
And I mean, ever since, I'll say this, Lost kind of just built that into me, because we live basically in flashback land
Mystery
all the
box,
time.
right? It's
Yeah, you're
fun.
like,
Yeah.
it's like the whole show, literally. Um, I enjoyed it. But again, by the time I was getting to the end where they're talking about putting, the brain in almost like a time almost like a time capsule, but like slowing down the lifespan of it so that it can
Hmm.
actually fly,
Suspended animation kind of a
suspended
thing.
animation
Yeah.
in a specific way. And then the failure that makes it go off course is such a,
Mundane.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like, one wire, that's it, like that just, and you had no,
See,
like it
again,
was just a, yeah.
in the books, this is what I love about, and this is also something that I think For All Mankind.
Mhm.
Have you watched any of that?
No,
It's on Apple TV.
okay.
So I'm trying to give Apple as little money as possible, but For All Mankind is kind of a banger also. I think you would really like it.
Oh, I'll put
But
that on.
in the book and in a show like For All Mankind, it is easier to describe how horrific space can be when you're off by a fraction of a thousandth of a millimeter of a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And now you're gone. And now you will float through space forever because one tiny little thing went wrong and you can't correct for that when you're trying to reach, what is it? Like, what did they say? 10% the speed of light? You're like, nope.
And not only, well, okay, so here, okay, but answer me this. This is the weirdest part of this entire thing.
Sure.
How did the scientists know where to send the ship?
Oh, so they know the course of the...
No, they know they're coming.
That the Solarans are coming towards. Yeah.
Okay, but I never saw them establish where the location was. They knew. I've always heard them refer to the distance of where they were. We knew they were coming.
This is something that unfortunately gets abbreviated when you've only got 8 hours of storytelling to tell
that's
3
like a
books
part.
worth of setup.
When I saw the thing deviate and it's going in the wrong direction, the first thing that hit my mind, because up to that point I believed everybody already knew the direction. Then it was like, wait a minute, how do you know you're off course?
Yeah.
If you don't know where you're coming from, like the whole concept of the situation was that they were so far away that they need 400 years to show
400
up.
years, right?
But then they're able to have phone calls with us.
Yes.
On an instant, and not only that, also instantaneously impact Earth's people's perception.
Yep.
But then
yes, you're getting it all. I mean, unfortunately, the answer to all of your questions is yes, and I'll be the insufferable nerd. The book explains how this technology is possible.
This book better come soon. I'm just gonna
the books in the trilogy explain things better, like just how big this universe is. So when we finally reveal in the books, and this isn't so much a spoiler for the show because I don't think the show does a good job of explaining it. I think, TK, you're bringing up exactly the kinds of questions that I feel are left on the table because of how simplified the show is.
Yeah, they skipped. They took a lot of liberty on some of the assumptions in there.
Once we get information from the Trisolarans, and once we know that they have a 3-sun solar system, we know where they're coming from. We know where that system is. And so we know the path that their ships are going to take to reach Earth. The whole brain in a box thing happens in book 3. And so that's something that they describe when we have that failure. We're slingshotting this human envoy by just sending a brain to go and meet up with the Trisolarans. If you're off by the tiniest degree here in our solar system, 300 light years later, that's how far you're going to be off when that catastrophe. There's no way to correct and get that thing back on track. It's just gone in space forever. So it's little moments like that. The explanation for how they can talk to us in real time is a part of the explanation of the Sophon. When they made that giant computer and then they shrunk it down to the size of a proton.
Yeah.
In the book, they explain quantum entanglement. Like, you would need a whole extra episode of this show to deal with the science, which is actually pretty grounded. And there's an effect in quantum entanglement that we can observe where 2 individual particles kind of relate to each other despite distance and time and gravity. And it happens instantaneously. Well, if you could shrink a world-size supercomputer down to the size of a proton, and then you kept a second one quantum entangled, then whatever happened to one would immediately happen to the other, and you would have no relativistic effect or distance impacting that communication. So that's how a Sophon can communicate across 400 light years, is because they have 2 that are entangled that can send information back and forth. The show, I think literally in the show, there's maybe 1 sentence of dialogue that alludes to that. In the book, there are pages of explanation as to where the Sophon comes from.
There was a lot of Yeah. But yeah, so again, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it tonight was because of all these little weird.
Yeah.
I felt like the whole conversation at the beginning. She's sitting at the computer, and the first person that talks to her, I'm a nice person, and I will let you know, please don't respond. And
Yeah.
she sits there in deep thought and whatever, and then you realize how much you don't even realize who she is from that scenes,
Yeah.
because they don't show you the gradual progression in her age, and then the fact that we start off the show with her daughter dying, and then the fact that she was just not
Hmm.
moved by it, and way later you discover so many more, like, oh my god, like she let her daughter die, and then she gave her
Yeah.
daughter's headset to her friend because she felt she was a better candidate. I'm like, oh my god, like there's so many. I can't believe you went there, and there's that blind
Yeah.
belief. Like, either way, it's a great
So
show if you
I
haven't
wrote
seen it.
this.
I'll say, yeah,
I
sorry.
wrote I wrote this in my review, and I feel this is the hardest criticism that I can levy at the show.
Okay.
Is book one and book two are the actions of Ye Wenji, Dr. Ye. She is the most important figure in all of human history. Her actions and the motivation behind her actions are responsible for changing the entire course of human evolution to the heat death of the universe. All hinge on what she does in Three Body Problem. And
Mm-hmm.
it's why Saul is a wall facer in the show.
Mm-hmm.
The analogous character to Saul's character in the Dark Forest, his his actions are motivated, and he's considered a target by the Trisolarans
Yeah, he is.
because of Ye Wenji. But
Oh,
none of that lands as critical in the show. She is an unbelievably powerful force of personality, motivated by terrible things that happened to her as a
as a
young
young,
woman.
of course.
And the
Or into her
show
family too. It wasn't
can't
just to her. Yeah.
capture,
Yeah.
but the show can't capture how important that is with the kind of little cutaways and flashbacks that we're given.
Yeah.
It's too simple, it's too streamlined. And to the same token, to a lesser degree, Dashi,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Benedict Wong is incredible. He is a phenomenal performer, and I've loved him ever since he was just doing wacky comedies on old BBC sitcoms. Like, he's awesome. He is absolutely the right pick for a character like Dashi. But
Mm-hmm.
again, the show moves through, he's just affected by everything around him. In the book, he's a much more cantankerous, I'm over it, what are you going to do, fire me kind of character. Like, there's one scene where he literally just takes like a cigar out of a general's mouth. It's like the most disrespectful thing he could do in this moment. But he makes his point, and then everyone's like, well, he's not wrong. I guess we shouldn't arrest him for it. Like, he's like such a brutally precise judge of character, because he's just seen the worst of what humanity has to offer for every day of his career. We don't get that in the TV show. I feel that's what gets watered down, so that we have this whole cast of younger people
Mm-hmm.
that are like interesting and hip and cool and sexy. And you're like, I get it, but that ensemble, I don't feel is as important as Ye Wenji. Ye Wenji should be so much more important to this story. But again, we still have to get through a season 2 and then a season 3, which if they can't find the wackiness, because these books get wild as you start moving into the future,
Mm-hmm.
then it's all for naught. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and to go with them on this abbreviated adaptation if we get sci-fi crazy by the end. But if we don't, then it's all a fail.
Yeah.
Then it's like all of this meant nothing, which
That,
the books don't leave you with that feeling.
and yeah, no, it this may end up being, I may end up going down the route of just basically maybe even buying the books, and maybe my next long flight, as opposed to watching shows, just maybe just read and try to
Yeah.
get some good time into
I'd
it.
at
I
least
think
give the first one a shot, because if you get into the vibe of the first one, the
I
show
gotta
was kind of like
you have to
training
start.
wheels
Mhm.
for reading the first book. All the character names are different because they're all Chinese.
I
But
want to
like
say that there is a show on Prime. It's called Three Body.
oh
And
yeah,
I,
there's the actual Chinese
yeah, the
adaptation that was
Chinese
shot
version of
earlier.
it. Yeah,
So I
and
think
it came up on
it
Prime,
got
and I was like, wait a minute, this looks very
yeah.
familiar. Not
So
an exact.
again, it's funny listening to other. I haven't really gotten into that one. I had to take a break after Three Body, and I'm so glad. We should move on to Fallout because that was such
Yeah.
a delicious palate cleanser after Three Body. But the Chinese version of this kind of goes a little softer on the Cultural Revolution history,
Oh,
but
absolutely. Yeah.
goes way harder on some of the analytical explanation of what's happening to these characters. But you need so much more show to explain that. I think there are like 20 episodes, and it's like you got to take your time if you really want to tell that story. So again, it's just really interesting to see culturally what different groups thought was important to
Mhm.
tell, and it's what makes an adaptation such an interesting proposition. Is it shouldn't exactly be the book,
No,
but
I
if you're going to
understand
say it's
that.
the book, you have certain expectations that book things will happen.
It's just basically pages and pages of build up and reference. No, I'm with you. I don't disagree with that part. It was more some of their abbreviations and some of their commentary into the way the story was told kept like it made me question certain parts. And I can't. So here's the thing: I'm really bad with names. This is one of the best and worst things.
Hmm.
That's why I never review movies because I can never tell you the main characters'
You know that
names. Like
guy who did the thing, and he had like the
no,
hair.
no, the one of the main friends that was basically like I guess the millionaire with all this chips and that he sells and he basically
Sure.
liked computers and so on. I forget his name, but I never understood his position in the in the conversation. He is not a scientist. He is
No,
not in any way. I probably wouldn't say as smart as any of the other characters. Or
no.
his character wasn't supposed to be. And then he plays such a big role in the whole reaching level 4 and
Yeah.
then walking away from it and then
Hmm.
suddenly like how did you
And
reach level
really,
4? It was really
that
her, it wasn't you. You know what
that
I mean?
character in the show kind of just exists to be sort of an amalgamation of all the other scientists that have died. In the book, it's less magical. Like
Mhm,
it's just sort of regular VR in the
mhm.
book. It's not magical space alien
Like, I
VR.
can
But
smell, I can taste the dirt. I'm like, "Well, okay."
yeah, all of that stuff actually isn't a big part of the experience described in the book. But there's supposed to be this wider epidemic of scientists cracking away at information that some of them seem to handle and others don't,
Mhm.
and others can't. And that character in the show doesn't really exist directly in the books as that kind of, action of his own consequences kind of a thing, or consequences of his own actions kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's really, he's kind of there to represent sort of the wider epidemic of all of these academics falling prey. So
Yeah.
what is happening here and what's important about this strange VR game and what story are people discovering? So
Yeah. Well,
it's a lot. But
Yeah,
I
I'll
do
end
want
it
to
with
use
that. That'll
this.
be my that'll be
I
my
do want to use Three Body to transition because
You're gonna use 3 bodies to
there's
transition? That's a lot of bodies, man.
I know, man.
How are you
And they're
walking
all
over,
hitting the
rolling over?
floor. Ah,
The
okay.
and I'll say this. It was a very big surprise to find out that 3 bodies was not actually bodies. It was
Yeah.
other type of bodies.
Celestial.
Celestial bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kai. Yeah.
The other thing that I think is kind of interesting as a choice is to make all of the main relevant book characters acquainted with each other
Mhm.
in the show, because they're aware of each other, but they're not friends. They're not a friend group
Yeah,
like
that's what
this could have been a Friends sitcom kind of show.
it
Oh, we all
absolutely.
just hang out down at the local coffee shop, and oh, we also happen to be the 6 most important people to the entire direction of the future of humanity. What I think is funny is, while that is something that I think is kind of a criticism or something that I don't know works well for Three Body Problem, the interpersonal character dynamics and relationships in Fallout totally did it for me. Like, Fallout is schlocky B grade science fiction apocalypse storytelling,
Yeah.
and the fact that like everyone seems to know everyone kind of works for me. Oh, you want to go over that hill where the bad people are? Wait a minute, that bad person sure does look a lot like someone your mom used to know. Huh.
Dude,
Totally. Like I was on board. It was
you look
hilarious
like your
and it
mom,
was
and
so
they
over the
leave
top.
the first episode with the, you look like your mom, and then she just walks away with her dad, and I'm like, what? That and she just got, and then there, yeah, no, Fallout for me was,
It was tasty.
it was funny. It had a lot of comedy. I'll say that. There's a lot of nice funny moments in there.
Yeah.
And you could get it too. Like it wasn't just so like obscure or whatever. No, it was serious. Like it was trying to be serious but funny at the same time and laugh at its own
Yeah.
comic standpoint in
So
there.
it was so aware of
Very,
its
very
like
woke.
pedigree.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they knew stuff was like, um the conceptual of just, the shelters, not realizing, I mean, obviously we're not going to break any kind of embargoes on this thing, but for me, I'll say this: it was much more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Having played the first game, and I just, a lot of it just made sense to me. The
Mm-hmm.
character development. Some people were saying the acting wasn't the best. I'm like, I don't expect this to be this is not winning Oscars.
I
This
don't
is
know.
not going to Golden Globes. Watch
I
it for what
felt
it is.
I felt like you took something schlocky, and
Yeah.
I have way more experience with the first two original RPGs than the later, like Fallout 3 and
Hmm.
Fallout New Vegas. I kind of bounced off of Fallout before New Vegas, so I'm not really aware of whatever lore or canon happens in a story type of environment. But RPGs are kind of notorious for you make your own character. So I felt like the show leaned into the world building aspects of a good RPG,
Hmm.
went over the top on archetypical character types who couldn't be real functional people. Like the daughter is the archetype of a completely sheltered 1950s Americana vault dweller. And like I thought she nailed it. Like I thought she was incredibly,
No, no.
again, in all the ways that like we complain about surface level motivations from characters in Three Body Problem.
Hmm.
I felt like the actress in Fallout was nailing the hyper naive, I don't know what's happening, but shouldn't everybody be nice to each other kind of
No,
mentality that someone like that would
to
have.
me, you expect it. You expect it. She's been sheltered. She's been living in a community where everybody trusts each other. Everybody says hello to each other. Everybody was happy all the time. You
Hmm.
get that, like, oh my God, it's already creepy on its own, but like I understand it. That's the life that she's been living.
And then I
And
think Maximus is cut from a similar cloth. He's been a sheltered acolyte of this Brotherhood of Steel, and he's not naive in the same way that she is,
no,
but he
no.
is completely unprepared to exist in this world as a leading character. He
Well,
has not leveled up to
yeah.
be
Well, because
an impressive
they've been
character
kept
yet.
in such a weird,
Like
um
locked,
locked in.
arrested development. Yeah,
Absolutely, and their entire existence is to help these knights
I
that
loved
seem
it.
to basically run them. Like, not only that,
Yeah.
the superly oversized bag that they had to carry, that to me was the funniest thing.
So won't give them wheels like a golf bag. They just have
No,
to
you had to
schlub it.
carry it, and they would schlep it and walk for miles. Where we know that the knights have the ability of flying because
It's so
there's
over
and
the top.
it's
I
just,
love it.
to me, it was like, really. and
All
and
of
the
those
and the knight
details
never
are
comes out.
so
They
precise.
stay in
They're
the suit.
so spot.
Yeah, no, the whole, they got, and then, but again, so to me, I like the chemistry between Maximus and the main character. I think overall the storyline threw me off a little bit when the dad was kidnapped and not
Hmm.
killed. That was the other thing. It was
Yeah.
kind of like they purposely made sure he wasn't killed. Um, but the fact what's it called? I think Vault 23, was it 23? The other Vault,
32.
32, sorry, where 32 just walked in and everybody accepted them for the fact of who they are because they have no idea who they are. They never talked to
Yeah.
them. She married one of them, and there was that whole, they jumped straight into lovemaking into that thing. And then at the end of it, he's just trying to kill her. I'm like, wait, hold on. Is this a praying mantis where you just have
Hmm.
to kill your spouse? Like, um, anyways, the story development was nice. I think I felt like they could have. There was too many characters that were introduced and killed off within 5 minutes. Like, really?
Yeah. I I get it. I feel like
It
that
was,
is going to be a byproduct of the video gamey
Well, like,
of
but they
what they're
used
trying
famous
to
characters for
accomplish.
that.
But
Like, I
oh
forget the
yeah,
name of the guy from Lost.
every episode has
Yeah,
like a celeb.
but that, yeah,
He's
barely
they're
walks
only
in,
there for
and
that one episode.
then you're like,
Boom.
whoa, like the whole, yeah, and then
Michael
she has,
Rappaport was the original, was the first night.
but he had like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
You meet him, and
it
he's
was
dead.
awesome.
He's done.
I loved it.
Then I forget the name of the guy from Lost with the glasses. He's in barely enough to make sense of saying what's in my head is the
Hmm.
most important part. You don't have to carry me, but he's okay letting her decapitate him and then carry the head and like
Yeah.
to me it was like okay, story wise again nice. I appreciated it.
Gory and
Absolutely.
silly
Oh,
and
absolutely. Yes.
completely
And
over the top. I loved
and
it.
then there's still a love story at the end of it. Like you kind of like, hey, it's cute. They wanted to be
I
together.
gotta say, you get to the end of that, and I like that, like especially for the younger, her name's
Hmm.
Lucy.
Hmm.
Lucy. Oh, that's right. Her name is Lucy McLean. That's the daughter
Yeah.
of
The
John
same.
McClane in the Die Hard films. His daughter is
Oh,
named Lucy.
Lucy. Okay.
Lucy
Okay.
McLean. Well,
Maybe that's
hello,
how.
Lucy McLean. It's just hilarious. It's like a little like inside joke of an inside joke, I guess. I don't know. But like her character and Maximus, for a gross, explosive body, you know, destroying apocalyptic sci-fi RPG, like they actually had moments of character development. You get to the end of the season, there are feelings, like you care
Hmm.
whether or not these two characters might meet up with each other, or what circumstances might pull them apart. Like it's not, I'm not going to end this saying like, oh, there's so much heart, because there's not. But for it being a fun dystopian satire, fun dystopian romp, very in keeping with the original vibe of Fallout being satirical, I liked that it wasn't just mean-spirited mocking by the time we got to the end. By the time we got to the end, there was still some care put into why are we spending time with these characters, and it matters what happens to them.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed with what they pulled off. It to me, this is one of the best like attempts at making a video game work.
Hmm.
Like Last of Us is incredible storytelling, but the Last of Us video game is already a cinematic portrayal of a dystopian zombie apocalypse,
Yeah.
and it's real dark and it's real heavy, and those dramatic elements I think translate to TV really well.
Yeah.
I don't know that we do comedy satire very well anymore. I was watching Police Squad with Marie.
Oh wow.
Over
Okay.
the top, zany, bonkers. It's like Airplane,
Yeah.
Naked Gun, all of that stuff. And you're like, but the original TV show had a lot of satirical bite to it. It wasn't just slapsticky, over the top comedy like a lot of later
Hmm.
satirical properties have been. And I felt like Fallout, the TV show, got the satire of the video game right, and brought the humor in a way that's a really difficult balancing act to maintain. I think it's easier when you have a dramatic property and you can say like, "Oh, this is dark and scary and sad." And you're like, "Okay, I guess it's going to be dark and scary and sad." And here we've got moments in Fallout that are dark, and we've got moments that are scary, and we've got moments that are kind of sad, but then we've got a lot of stuff that builds up tension and then releases that tension in something gross and hilarious at the same time.
And
That is, I think, a much bigger challenge.
that was the biggest part about it that I enjoyed more so than Three Body. It was,
Yeah.
and I did them in that order. I finished Fallout first, then I did Three Body because I felt like I
Oh, you did
enjoyed.
it wrong.
No, I mean, no. So I'll say this: The Last of Us prepared me for Fallout in the same
Right.
sense of the way it was, futuristic, dystopian, zombies and all that good stuff. Fine, or
Sure.
ghouls as they want to call them. But the conceptual appreciation of the movie or the TV show for me wasn't hard for me to grasp. And again, I was able to pick up on the comedy. Going over the Three Body after that, because again, I had tried to start Three Body, couldn't get through the first half episode, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, stop here. I'm gonna go watch something else. And that was when you and I talked about it. This was like maybe 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, And now that I have gone through, and my wife was like, I can't believe you binge watched the entire thing. I was like, this is important. I got to finish this.
This means
This
something.
will be on the test next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. If I don't show up and I know what I'm talking about, Juan's going to be really no. It's okay. So the setup was very much. Again, the concept of the story, you start figuring out who it is, and as you go through, episode after episode, you start understanding where the connections are, who the people are, and the fact that there is, like who's the mastermind behind where the bombs were dropped and why things were done the way they were done, and in the cowboy character and all of that good stuff in there.
Oh, and like without mentioning too much about the whole plot and story and stuff surrounding that character, but Walton Goggins is
He's
just a phenomenal
absolutely
character actor.
hands
And
down, and like every
he's
time I've seen
so
him.
good. Everything I've ever seen him in. So like of course like I think like many people caught him first and realized how much I enjoyed his performance in Justified,
Okay.
that TV show where the most electric moments of television between him and Timothy Oliphant are it's just so good. Like I want to see a re-edit of Justified where they cut out every other scene except for when Walton Goggins and Timothy Oliphant are on screen at the same time. And that I think should be a movie. Like don't reshoot anything. Just take the footage you already have and give me a master cut of them kind of like facing off against each other because they're incredible. But he brings again, like there was that whole Nada controversy
Mhm.
where he admitted like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on or why this one line I had was so important. And you've got a bunch of video game nerds that try and make that some kind of detriment. But when you've got a performer who is already embodying a personality archetype that makes sense for this property, like you just let him do. You don't try and impress upon him, oh, when you say this line, war never changes, that's going to be real important to Fallout fans. So make sure you put a little gleam on that. Like, you would ruin it. You would destroy what makes his performance so captivating. And again, like, he, to me, becomes the most interesting part is watching him sort of navigate this world and what his character goes through, because he's just like watching him is just a master class in incredible character work. He's
But
just so
also
much
his
fun.
his knowledge of the entire environment, where things are, where people are, what's going on, to me was
He becomes the shortcut for the audience.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
he kind of guides us through the chaos that is the sorry, I was going to say the outside world, but essentially you just, he kind of guides you through it and you understand things through him, because also the story revolves. I mean, he is his character
A
was
singular figure. Yeah.
exactly, he was there at the inception of it. He was married to a very important character in this. And
Spoilers.
well, I
I don't
mean,
know. We're actually. I think we're doing a pretty good job of not ruining major reveals.
no.
So
I'll say this: if you're looking for a sci-fi story that, again, don't take it for don't again, don't look for Oscar performance, because I saw a lot of comments, a lot of people talking about it online and so on. Is like, well, the acting could have been like, no, you don't go into this for
I,
I want
I
Oscar
feel
performance.
you
The
catch
acting was
someone
pretty
who
decent.
see, I disagree. I think the acting was phenomenal. I
Oh no,
think the
for the job
performers
what it needs to
are
do, it delivered
absolutely achieving
exactly.
what this ensemble needed. And that's what I get real tired of in a lot of movie and TV show criticism on YouTube is it's like, let me spend 20 minutes just telling you what happened in the movie. And then this guy says this, and then that happens. And then the dog dies. But then this person says that. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe that person said that. And then they get to like the last 5 minutes, and the acting maybe could have been better. And you're like, if that's all you can like if that's all you can critique,
Mhm.
then you really have no business commenting on performance. Like you don't know what you're talking about. It's like the people who got upset at the actress who played Skylar in Breaking Bad.
Oh.
She's playing a role,
Mhm.
but you've got a bunch of people who are following the exploits of Walter White, and her character is an obstacle for Walter White getting what he wants, even though what Walter wants is bad. So the actress did her job. Like, oh, but she's so mean and she's such a hag and blah blah blah. And you're like, then it worked. Then she did what the show needed her to do. I can't think of a character in Fallout portrayed by an actor in this show that did not completely succeed at what the show needed their character to do.
Yeah.
And people saying like, "Oh, but the acting could have been," I'm purposely saying could have, so that you would spell it like COULDOF,
Hmm.
because that's how little I think of people criticizing the performance in Fallout. Um, like I'm really struggling to think like in this ensemble there was a performer who didn't live up to what the show needed their character to do. I don't think that exists. I think the ensemble of Fallout flippin' nails
Hmm.
what the writing and the directing requires of each and every single one of those performers. And that must
Absolutely.
have been a tough shoot because there's a lot of makeup, there's a lot of practical effects. They're out on location. Some of the
Hmm.
most impressive moments of the show, you can tell, are shot like out in the desert. That can't be a fun shoot. I've
No,
done
but
shoots
that's what I
out in the
appreciated
desert.
the most about
It's
it. It's
not
the outdoor
fun.
shoots. It's just
Yeah.
they
It's
stuck
not
to the
like
story.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, no. Mandalorian's always in, like, it's studios, it's staged. There's a lot of different things in there, but this one is just,
Yeah.
it felt like The Last of Us in so many ways. And it's
Hmm.
because we were able to, like, they're able to get out and you can see the shelter. They're basically, getting in, and then they find this other shelter where there's, different versions of,
Bad
and
things.
yeah, no, but then no, but then you realize it's a structured, it's a system, it's a network of places.
Yeah.
Um, and the reality is that this girl literally only knew of one shelter and the relation to another shelter. And the
Right.
reality is, even then they didn't realize that the first shelter in there is just basically silos with bodies. Like, there's nobody in there. Like, it's just, it was a good show. It is a good show. If you haven't caught it yet, it's on Prime. It's a very nice adaptation of a story, and I felt like story wise, easy to catch on, easy to enjoy, and easy to
Oh
feel
yeah.
good at the end of it. It's not. And it leaves
I
you with a
feel like
small cliffhanger to continue if they ever do
three
continue.
three body problem you can't appreciate unless you have an insufferable nerd like me
Oh, absolutely. That's why I
pausing
waited
the
to see you.
show. Yeah, exactly. I'm serving my purpose.
I was going to
I
call
have
you,
a
but
role to
I
play.
watched it over the span of 3 days because I kept, again,
Yeah.
I couldn't dedicate the
But
exact sit
if you
down,
don't
but yeah,
if you don't have that insufferable nerd spoon feeding you the context from the book, I think
yeah.
Three Body is a little tougher to chew on.
Hmm.
If you've never touched a Fallout game, I feel this succeeds in exactly the same way that The Last of Us
Yeah.
succeeds. Marie is never gonna play The
The
Last of
Last of
Us,
Us. Yeah.
but she really got into the drama of that TV show. She's never gonna play a Fallout game, but she really got into what
Well,
Fallout had to
that's
offer.
when it gets down to having the right actors, the right directors, and just, again, yeah, uh, absolutely. The way you put it, it was exactly to the T. It's just, it's fun. It's a fun show to watch,
Yeah.
and you can relate to it. It's kind of like
I got another
watching.
pick.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, no. So it's sort of like watching.
Well, no, the Walking Dead. It's kind of a weird, like, to me, it was a show that I first started watching, and you watch it, and then you start really, you follow the characters, you enjoy the show, you realize
Right.
where it is, and it's the
Yeah.
outdoors locations, the shoots, the different
I
things, and so on.
I tapped out after the prison. I again I was the insufferable nerd who loved the comic book and I couldn't stick with it. I just I bounced off after the prison.
And now
So
there's so many spin-offs. Like, it's
yeah.
beyond that.
So
Yeah.
I've got another
What?
palate cleanser for you.
Sure.
So you did this backwards. So you're a
Okay.
little out of sorts here. You should have done Three Body Problem into Fallout. I think that's the correct meaty adaptation TV show direction.
Okay.
So, as a one-off, I because it's now on streaming, I was so mad I didn't get to see this in a theater. It just
Okay.
didn't work out. Life too busy, and I should have just gone to catch a midnight showing of it somewhere. But Late Night with the Devil is so schlocky, over the top horror fun. Low budget. I think the entire production budget's like $10 million. It had a great run in the box office. It's doing well
It's a
on streaming.
2023 movie.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy.
I'm
or horror
so
comedy.
mad I didn't see it in theaters. This is maybe one of the most important films for found footage we've made in recent memory. This is the freshest take on found footage I think I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the fundamental problem of almost all found footage movies is, why are they still shooting video when terrible things are happening all around them? And most found footage films, when you really try to analyze like what's going on, they fall apart under any kind of scrutiny. Like, I love found footage in that little bubble of, I don't care that it's a stupid conceit. I just love seeing this kind of first person perspective mixed into the action with low production quality.
Yeah.
But Late Night with the Devil has a great hook for why we would be watching this footage, and the production design is incredible for such a low budget film, because it's built to look like late 70s television, and it looks like late 70s low budget late night stand-up comedy television.
Okay.
So it's like, I want to say it's only like 80 minutes long. It's not a long, you're not investing a ton into this. Maybe it's 90 minutes. I can't remember, but it's not a long
movie. It's an hour and 26 minutes. It is 90.
It's
exactly 96 minutes.
Yeah, it's 86 minutes. An hour and 26 minutes is 86 minutes.
60 plus 30 is 90 plus 6.
You said,
is it 126?
26?
Did I say 26 or
126 or an hour 26?
Nope, it is an hour 26. It's 86. My mistake. Yeah, 86. That's Math is fun. It just, I don't know why in my mind I said 126, but I heard myself saying 136, and I'm like, wait, isn't that 96?
No, I was not gonna say that's not it.
Carry the one. No,
it's such an easy film to just kind of roll with.
It's on Prime also, by the way. Yeah, it's on Prime, YouTube, most of the streaming.
It was a Shudder original, so I also think if you have Shudder, you can also watch it on Shudder. But it, like, just so charming, so cheesy. The main character is the guy who played the Dots guy in Suicide Squad.
Yes,
just a great turn of character for him. Like, really just good, fun, cornball horror. Exactly that kind of, like, cotton candy. You know, like, you just finished 3 Body Problem. Let your brain have a night off.
I'll check it out this weekend. I'll let you know. We'll talk. We'll circle back on this one next week as we start the show.
Yes.
Like, okay. Midnight with
I
the
hope
Devil.
so.
I got it on my sides. I think it's going to be a good show. And from what horror comedy, like I said, the comedy in Fallout I did not feel like it was wasted. It was delivered beautifully. So I appreciate that when not only directors but actors do the work and they give us such a beautiful piece to be able to enjoy. Like I said, this would not have been on my radar. I mean, I'm thinking Omar at some point may find it because he's big on watching horror. He loves the shock and awe type of thing for it. Yeah. But I feel like adding some comedy in there would also be a little bit funny, just to kind of enjoy it a little more. It doesn't have to be this, I just jumped out of my seat for the sake of jumping out of my seat.
At some point, again, off show, you and me should chat, just like whatever movies he's getting into, because it's not like I don't have a museum of horror films, like an archive.
Gotta help us.
Point him in directions.
Speaking of horror and action and movies, not that I don't want to deviate so much, but since we're doing such a big TV/movie genre conversation this episode, what are your thoughts on? I was going to say first word. Have you watched the first Deadpools and the first 2?
Deadpool
and Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I've seen.
Okay, cool. So we're up to speed on this one. Did you see the trailer?
I am purposely not watching trailers if I think I want to watch the movie, and I kind of this movie had my money as soon as I saw that Hugh Jackman was coming back as Wolverine.
Okay,
so
I will end the conversation there. I'm
like, again, it's the problem I have with the way that we make movies now is like too much of the movie is in the trailer to get people to watch the movie, and I don't get it. I
Oh, I
don't
was gonna
like
watch
it
it
when I go
regardless. It's a
into
Deadpool
oh
movie.
no
The
no
moment Ryan
no
Reynolds
I
was in
know
there,
that,
yeah.
but this isn't unique to Deadpool. I'm not putting this on the trailer because I haven't seen the trailer.
And I will not
I
discuss the trailer.
purposely try not to watch trailers now because it really bothers me when I go into the movie and I know all of the major points that are explored in the movie.
That's true.
I feel this is one of the most important short films ever made was the teaser trailer for The Shining.
Okay.
So this is Stanley Kubrick back in the day. People know he's coming out with a movie. It's based on a Stephen King book. Tension is really high. Like there are high expectations for what Stanley Kubrick will do with the Stephen King property. And the first trailer, if I have the story right, and someone might correct me and say like I'm just buying into like internet myth or something like that. But the first teaser trailer was cut together rapidly, and
Mm-hmm.
because they had like issues with putting together a proper, because back then movie trailers would be like, so and so is the detective, he's a hard-hitting gumshoe and he's going to investigate this crime, like
It
there'd be
was
like a whole
voiceover.
narrative.
It
Yeah,
had a legit voiceover. It was like
but
it
they'd
was
like
yeah.
spell out everything that happens in the movie, the thing I don't like. So the company responsible for the first teaser trailer just takes the sequence of the blood coming out of the elevator in super super slow motion.
Of
It's
course.
flowing out of this elevator and it's splashing up on the camera and everything is kind of doused in red.
Well, yeah.
And in simple and there's just like a droning sound. There's no soundtrack, there's no sound effects, there's no music, and the droning just builds as plain white text scrolls above the screen. Um, Coming soon to theaters, an adaptation of the Master of Horrors novel, seen through the lens. I can't remember exactly the language, but it's very simple and it's very basic. And in this teaser trailer, you get every feeling of The Shining, and they tell you nothing about the movie or the story, but like the white text kind of resembles all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Plain simple text that just scrolls up over the screen. The
Mm-hmm.
slow motion carnage of this blood flowing out of the elevator is one of the nightmarish sequences that Danny experiences while going around this hotel. Like every part of the droning sound kind of imbues you with that like irritation and that anxiousness that you get when you see a character sort of descend into madness. Like every part of this teaser trailer is incredibly evocative while telling you nothing, and I can't think of another thing that would make me want to see a movie more. Like the early trailers for what is the name of that film? Is it Long Legs or Skinny Legs?
I'm not
It's
familiar
another
with them.
horror film that's coming up,
Okay.
really playing into kind of the internet tropes on like analog horror, and the trailers are utterly basic, super super simple, tell you nothing about the characters and the story,
Yeah.
and just leave you with those like kind of unsettling images of things that just don't look quite right. And I got to see that movie. I The movie could be terrible,
No,
but that trailer is a work of art.
it's like the yeah, I know what you mean. Like there's so many like how YouTube does it, where it says like put so much work into you put a lot of work into the thumbnail and the video's crap, but the thumbnail
Yeah.
got you to watch it. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You
the
got me
thumbnail
on the
got me
thumbnail.
hooked.
You got me hooked on
Yeah.
the thumbnail. Okay, so with that being said, we will depart from the Deadpool 3 conversation to a later date, to potentially our August
Uh,
episodes.
well, yeah, right when the movie comes out.
After the movie comes out.
I've got to find out what the name of this other one is, because again, I would love to see your thoughts on. Excuse me. What is it? Something long legs. Long
It is
legs
definitely
movie?
not Daddy Long Legs, because I have a few of those in the backyard. That movie's been out.
Okay, so yeah, it's the Long Legs teaser.
Okay.
There have been some other trailers that have now like, oh, this is the main character and it stars Nicolas Cage and there's all this other stuff, but the original first um, uh, short form teaser
Mhm.
is like classic YouTube
Oh no,
horror.
no. Any of the TV shows
It's
back in the day, that the
so
teasers were
good.
true teasers. It wasn't really telling you the whole story because they wanted you to
Yeah.
watch it. And now it's more about they show you so much of the conversation. They keep a couple of things maybe close to the chest, but the reality is, yeah, for the most part, you're just going there to see the points that they've already told you about, and you just see them just evolve into whatever they're going to fall into, whatever ends up being the plot in the movie. But
So I'm just gonna share this. I don't even know if it'll show up in the chat if I do this right. Hold on. That the very first one, it's called Every Year There Is Another. And that was the first teaser. So it's like a
are you sharing that in
YouTube
the
horror.
in this chat, or are you going to share the
Well, I'm
screen?
gonna share it in the chat and then I'm gonna send it to you too. But
Okay.
again, it's like 300,000 views. It's not like crazy. They have some trailers in on this is a Neon Films, and I think they also did Immaculate. So the
Okay.
trailer for Immaculate has Sydney Sweeney and it's got like 2 million views. The first teaser for Longlegs, it like 300,000 views, but it's like
Yeah, I can't
it's
copy
so
paste in the chat
effective.
in there.
Here
Yeah.
I'll also just shoot it to you over on our private messaging, so
Preview.
you can
Preview.
watch it.
Preview. That's good.
But anyway,
Oh, this one.
we don't have to like we don't actually have to like watch
No, no,
that.
yeah, no, I'll watch it later. I was I in the in StreamYard, the comments are, it's basically like an image, right? It's not a text. You can't really prompt it because
Yeah.
your initial response to it is to either share it as a conversation. So like I can click it, but I can never select the text from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just drives me crazy with there. And then put user into timeout. You think we can put ourselves into timeout if we are? It's one of those weird things, but like, no,
I mean,
seriously,
I probably deserve it, so
it's
it's fine.
been meaning to talk to you about it. So some of the other things going on, obviously this week, and we're just going to touch about a couple of things. I think you and I both, um, I couldn't figure out it. Did you drop the video? Was it a video or was this a written article with a teaser for the Ray Neos? Did on the Patreon?
So
It's on the
the
Patreon right
Ray
now.
Neo on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Just a quick. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because I'd rather people caught your video now
Oh
because I'm
yeah.
just getting started. These are the Ray Neo X2,
Mm-hmm.
and they are the more AR glasses from Ray Neo. These are not. Oops! I just dropped the ring. I hope I find it again. Office is kind of trashed right now. So these are the more AR glasses. They've got much more exciting waveguide optics,
Mm-hmm.
everything that you were talking about. I did an unboxing video.
Yeah.
I don't really do unboxing videos, but there's that on the Patreon. And then I wore them for a day, and I wrote up kind of my first day experience with them, and not to spoil the article, but I'm a little concerned
Mm-hmm.
about that first day of use, and I'm a little disappointed in these compared against other things we've had in the past, like the Focals by North and Google Glass, and some of these earlier experiments with making a face notification computer system. So I need to use them more.
Yeah, of course. Oh no.
But
Yeah.
my first impressions were anxious. Let's use the word anxious.
Anxious. Okay. Okay. Well, and the biggest thing for me, where I had an opportunity to play with them, use them for a little bit longer. I got a chance to, oh, dude, you look so cool. You look so cool. Right there. Let's just make you right there. Hold on.
I'm
Can we
I'm
make it
wearing a face computer.
right there?
It's a computer on my face, and I'm wearing it. I'm pretty cool, guys.
Hashtag some
Here, let
gadget
me.
guy, some AR guy. Oh, look at you. See, now we can see
It's
it.
it's
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 nice.
it's not glasses. It's a computer.
But you can't put the tape in the middle here because otherwise you block the camera. Otherwise you'd
Because
go
I'll block the camera
you'll go full
of my
nerd.
computer, and I can't because it's a computer, guys. You didn't even know it's a computer because it looks like glasses,
It
but
looks-
you probably knew that they weren't regular glasses. It's a computer.
I'll say the overall from when I first saw them, or the early prototypes of what I saw from TCL back 3-4 years ago to where they are now, it is absolutely light years where for the
Yeah,
development and the work that
sure.
they've done. Is it 100% ready in my opinion right now? I think it still needs a little bit more work, but
It needs some
they are
work.
definitely
Yeah.
they're working on it. They're trying to troubleshoot it. They're trying to get things running. I think I saw somewhere where they said they're starting to support some Google apps that you're able to sideload some
Nice.
applications in there. I,
Cool.
again, to me, where the biggest part about where all of these things kind of culminate is, um, it hit me very hard. Like when I went to get my eyes checked a couple of days ago, and one of the options my doctor was offering me was the Meta glasses, the oh man,
Ray-Bans.
what the Ray-Bans. Thank you. Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
the Ray-Ban glasses, and I was like, really? These are options now? Like this is an
Hmm.
option for me to use as a frame? And then he's like, yeah, we could just put your prescription in there. I mean, it's no different than if you just got it directly from Ray-Ban. But
Yeah.
what they've accomplished with with the X2 over the earlier generations, at least, is the communication is working there. You're able to basically do a lot more stuff on the glasses as opposed to just having them running on the phone. I love the fact that they really leverage Qualcomm's technology in there, but it does need a little bit more time and more updates into that. And there, like I said, I'm not going to give too much into it, but the team over there
Yeah.
has been working on it. There's new things coming out. They're still trying to get more people into it, and I can't wait for the next version. The X3s or whatever. They also actually released an Air version, which is a lighter version, not
Yeah.
as advanced.
A
But these
simplified version.
definitely showcased everything, and like you said with the Ring, um, it was
These
the cool.
have actually gotten me more interested in a lighter version. So again, we'll follow up some conversations on
Oh yeah,
this. I need
no.
to spend more time with them. I need to find a way to make them fit into kind of a daily workflow
Hmm.
where I kind of felt like Focals more seamlessly blended into a smartwatchy kind of experience. So for all the stuff that I'm very impressed with in terms of the technology, there's also a learning curve and some obstacles to the consumer experience that I think hold the user back
Hmm.
from what would be a good practical daily wearable accessory. So lots of thoughts,
Lots of thoughts. Good,
and
good. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
definitely have to follow up on them. But it does, like, in the same way that I got excited for Apple's mixed reality headset bringing like an exciting new micro OLED. I'm never gonna buy Apple's mixed reality headset. I don't remember what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's called the mixed reality headset from Apple that uses VR, and I don't think they had any fancy brand names for any. I'm
No,
pretty
no,
sure that's what it was
they
called.
went straight, yeah, straight organic. It was an organic
Yeah,
title.
it just
Exactly.
it literally telling you what it is, not trying to put a fancy spin on it. It was very un Apple like, if you think about it. It was very practical. Apple's mixed
Unprofessional,
reality
I would say
headset.
even. But yeah, no, I'm with
No,
you.
actually, I thought more professional because they weren't trying to hide behind fancy brand names for technologies that we already have. So that, I mean, kudos that Apple was mature enough to just call something what it was instead of like the True Motion Plus display with Apple Silicon. Like, no, it's just Apple's mixed reality headset, or the mixed reality headset from Apple. All snarkiness aside,
Yeah.
for the TCL X2, I'm not sure I can get to a place where these are just going to totally win me over, but
Mhm.
they do stand as a proof of concept for a couple of edge technologies that I think are ready for broader consumer adoption.
Okay.
So that, if for nothing else, I'm excited that that tech is being showcased in a successful way. Whether or
Yeah.
not the glasses are ultimately successful, at least I've seen firsthand, oh, this part of the glasses, these are ready for prime time. Now I hope we see this show up in other products and other accessories.
Yeah. No, and I think I can't wait to hear your thoughts as you use it more in yeah, and test it out. Just do me a favor, don't try to do what I do. What I did is try to drive with them. Not intended for driving. Not a good
See,
decision.
again, the Focals were pretty good for doing stuff like that.
Well, I
They
think it's
handled
because
that
the
really well.
focals mostly their focus level wasn't the center of your vision. It was always set to be on the
Nope.
side. So it was kind of like a
Like kind of
uh, glass,
it
right?
was
Like
like
Google Glass.
they were looking the Google Glass Prism,
Yeah,
but it was built into the lens, into the
absolutely.
optics.
Where
Exactly.
the Ray Neos are intended to be your center and your bottom right or bottom left side screen. So you're always going to see it in front of you. So if you're driving and you're trying to do anything, it's in front of you as you're driving. And I was like,
Yeah.
crap. So
That's bad.
yeah, no, I wasn't using the
That's real
glasses, but
bad.
I recorded a video with it, mostly because I wanted to see how the video was going to come out. Um, but yeah, no, again, hopefully we'll see what comes out from on your side. For me, I dropped. Not that I was. It
Well,
was a very busy week, but I finally. Sorry, man. Um, the just it's man, it's hard when you have a heartburn and you're trying to just manage it. Uh, but as soon as we're done, obviously I'm going to get some Tums and hopefully, or maybe some Pepto. The Xiaomi 12, the Xiaomi 6S Pro, the Xiaomi Pad 6S Pro 12.4. Uh, Long title, but really a really nice piece of tech that I enjoyed. Um,
yeah, I
like
saw that when that video came
it's
out
a
real
beautiful
well.
piece of hardware. It's larger than the last one I reviewed late last year, but it
Hmm.
does so many things at the right level. Gaming on there, display technology, the fact that we have video out. I love doing things where because I love connecting it, like I say, our phones or so on to a hub. And I have a
Yeah.
keyboard and a mouse and and a large 32-inch display and just use it like a computer. Like, I mean, yes, it's not 100% a computer, but Xiaomi's doing some stuff. They have a few things in there in their up their sleeve with the UI where everything pops up in pop-up mode and so on. Is it better than Dex? No, Dex is still going to be the king. I'm not because I got
I
the first thing I got in the
but
comments were like,
seeing that,
is it better than
but tell
the
me,
yeah,
but tell me, like I saw your video
yeah.
and we're playing with stuff like that, and again, how much do you want that on a Xiaomi phone? I
A lot of the things that they've done, it's I'll say HyperOS has done more. They've brought in a lot more synergy between their devices,
hmm
but what they're still lacking for me in the sense of like features and so on, it is that synergy, right? Like getting the continuity. Also, like you jump from from a Xiaomi to a Redmi, a lot of those functionalities get taken out of HyperOS. Like you miss certain things out of like you can see where the Redmi line is intended to be, where the Xiaomi line is supposed to be, kind of thing. Like the differences. It works. I mean, from what it does and the connectivity that it has, the sound, the display, the refresh rate, the charging speed. It's a 120-watt charger in the box that you can use this to charge up 10,000 milliamperes. Like, how much faster do you want to do to be able to charge up your tablet and get it back up and running? Um, and a lot of people were like, we'll compare it to the Samsung the what's it called, the Tab S9 Plus Ultra. I'm like, it's a $700 tablet to an $1,100 tablet. There are some things
yeah.
obviously Samsung still does better, but in a long run, in the general usage of what you want to use at the end of the day, this is a banging deal. Like this seriously has everything that you need and then some. The accessories that it comes with
Yeah.
it, the keyboard, the dock that it comes with, I feel like that's one of the better solutions. The AI function that they added in there, kind of, I'll say cute. Not, they may need a little bit more baking.
Okay.
Um,
So like all of it though.
yeah,
I'm so over AI being the
AI
selling
generated
point.
imagery is, yeah, it was to me, it was like,
It's not doing anything for me right now. Some of the practical tools like summing up a meeting,
yeah,
getting the bullet points of an audio recording,
editing a
the
video on it.
practical
To me, that was a big thing. Yeah.
the practical sort of daily interaction stuff, which is not sexy, it's not exciting, that's not what they're building. I don't care about cutting someone out of a photo and moving them and doing generative content. Like, that's not why I take photos. That's incorrect. So, they're like, oh, well, the AI stuff is kind of like, it's not like any of us are really buying a nice tablet like that. What the other things that this tablet does well were incredibly exciting to see from Xiaomi, sort of competing
Oh,
in a price to
absolutely.
performance. It feels like it's more properly built to go head to head against Oppo and OnePlus.
Yeah. From what it offers, and I feel also if I had to compare it to Samsung's, I'd probably say more of the S9 Plus than the Ultra. because the Ultra goes up to
Yeah,
14, and the Plus is where it's sitting around the like the size wise in there. But
spot on.
from the speakers that just sound beautiful, like seriously stereo.
Hmm.
It's almost like a boombox in there. And the lightweight of it, the connectors on the back, everything is in there done correctly. The camera is actually, having 4K 60 on a tablet is also kind of like, wow, really? Like, but
That's cool.
it's there. I would have, obviously, if I had to kind of choose, I would have wished maybe a slightly wider lens than the lens that they gave us, because when I was trying to shoot it at arm's length, you literally had this. That was the framing from an arm's length on a phone or on the back of the
Yeah.
phone. So, but director mode for me, like taking this and the 14 Ultra on a shoot or somewhere off when I'm traveling and I need to do a video is absolutely the killer app there. Having it run, connect there, I can start and stop. I don't have to download a third-party app. The camera app does it for me. Then when I'm done, Xiaomi share it over or Nearby share it over to the tablet. I have an
Hmm.
8 Gen 2 processor. I mean, yes, not an 8 Gen 3, but still absolutely kick-ass.
Great.
And you can connect it to a larger display, use a keyboard and mouse. Again, it's the functional options that you're getting at that price point. There's really no it's hard to forget that this is literally what Xiaomi is known for, the bang for the buck
Yeah.
solution. So yeah, very happy with that, and hope you guys. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the chat probably already got it. If you haven't, it's on the main channel, and hopefully more fun stuff. I
So
may do some more content on it in the near future as well. But yeah.
as we close out our show, we're kind of getting to that night. We're past the
Oh,
90 minutes
the
that
night.
our
Yeah, I
podcast
was
is
going to talk
supposed to
about the
be.
rabbit, but we can cover that in the
Um,
next show.
I just want to tease this because I don't think I'm gonna get one, but I can't tell you how awesome. Like, if you're a Transformers nerd like I am,
Yes.
I don't think there's any better collectible for a Transformers fan than the Robosen series of actual transforming robots. So I'm going to
Hold
screen
on.
share
Oh,
here.
okay, you were going to do it, yeah, because I
I
was like,
got I got it up right now. Yeah, I've
cool.
got the actual Robosen site up right now, and they have just revealed a Megatron. So
A
this
tank
is
form Megatron specifically. Let's be honest.
tank form Megatron. They are not bending the rules of mass and physics to turn a giant 20-foot tall robot
Out
into
of
a
a
Walther PPK.
350. Okay, good.
Um, but this is a fully articulated, programmable, mobile robot that transforms on its own
Yep.
from robot to tank and is controllable either like a remote control car through your phone, or you can program blocks of movement. They had a recording session with Frank Welker, the original voice of Megatron, to do the voice samples for this robot, the same way that they got Optimus Prime. I mean, I've got his reel right over here from Peter Cullen.
Hmm.
This is why I've got Optimus Prime stuff all over my office. Is he's kind of responsible for me even knowing that voiceover is a job when I was a little kid. So I don't think this is going to get us like a crazy copyright strike or anything, but I am
No,
going to
no,
just
no.
sort of play the video while we kind of talk this out. And it's just so impressive because it's not only like an articulated robot, but when it transforms, it is a drivable tank.
Yeah,
So they
no.
have to build in servos to control tank tread that also fits into transforming this into a walking articulated robot. Voice controls, programmable controls. I like these things are absolutely incredible. So this is not cheap. This is not a cheap toy. I think it's
Oh,
going to
no,
launch
no.
on a special sale for
Yeah.
$900. But if you're a Transformers nut like I am, Robosen is the gig. This is the bragging rights. This is everything I imagined as a little kid when you're playing with a Transformer
No,
and in your
absolutely.
brain.
Exactly. We all of the stuff that it's doing in real life right now, we had that built into our head. That's how we imagined these toys. That's why when we bought them, we imagined them
Yeah.
transforming, how just the whole childhood being captured in an actual real life like massive toy, but it's still truly beautiful. Like
Hmm.
I remember when I saw the Megatron one at your house, and it was like, wow, like
Oh,
that
the
is,
Optimus. Yeah.
yeah, the
So
Optimus. Yeah,
so
sorry,
I can't
not the
like
Megatron,
use
the
him,
Optimus
but
Prime.
I have Optimus right here. I This is amazing, and like I really should do like a follow up video on OG Optimus because a few of the things that like a few of the things that I think are they're not like drawbacks, but you can kind of see like the design of an actual robot toy. I think they've addressed on the Megatron.
Yeah.
So better indication for battery capacity because these things burn their batteries out pretty quick.
Oh, I would imagine, yeah.
Um, better on robot programmable options if you want to make a little macro of movement. It's difficult to do on Optimus because you have to go through a phone app. But
Yeah.
here they're showing like in this video, there are these little touch sensors where you tap it and then move it and then tap it and then move it, and you can kind of program physically with
Hmm.
the robot to make these kinds of actions and movements more
Yeah, like I
easily.
think like they're doing it right there, like just to mimic that as if it's basically he's in the middle of a fight scene or just kind of, oh, look at
But
that.
then the end of this is hilarious because they try and stage this little action sequence. Megatron doesn't actually shoot laser blasts. He has a spring-loaded missile cannon, and Optimus can't jump. So this scene right here, where he's flying through the air, that can't happen. But
Oh,
I am
oh, ye of
so
little faith, my friend. Dude, come
I'm
on.
just
You know
so
Optimus can do
impressed
that jump.
with what they've accomplished. This company, these are legit like mini Honda Asimo. Do
Hmm.
you remember that?
Oh, I
So
remember, yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
the most dynamic. Like when you tell Optimus Prime to walk and you make him walk forward, he takes these little like teeny steps because of how the robot has to balance and where its feet are. He can't go very fast.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, but he is so dynamic, so articulate. Like every movement, he can do these big gestures. There's even one thing where he'll like kind of shadow box. You
Yeah, yeah.
can make these other kind of like systems. Like there's a clip online. The one of the lead engineers like, look, I can make him do push-ups, and Optimus is sitting there doing push-ups. Like it's just so incredible what they've accomplished. It's an actual robot, and then it transforms into an RC truck. Megatron is an actual Honda Asimo quality robot, and he transforms into a tank that has a spring-loaded cannon that can shoot projectiles.
Yeah, I saw
That
that one
is
bit when they were sort of like, oh no, you can
nuts.
actually shoot the actual missile there. It's the way to do it. Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
So I think they've done an incredible job of sort of updating this line. Nothing in this makes the Optimus feel like obsolete,
Hmm.
but they have improved on what was already a really cool electronic collectible. So I saw this and you're like, hey, what else do you want to talk about for the podcast this week? And I was like, I need to talk about this. Because Megatron
Oh my
and Frank
god.
Welker voicing Megatron is just incredible. So yeah, it full MSRP is going to be $1,200, but
Of course.
the
Are they
launch
going to make
sale is
two
going to
versions of it
start.
as well? Do you think? Did they say
I
anything
don't
about that?
think so. I
Oh,
think
it's a
they're going to
limited
stick
edition.
with
That's why. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I think they're just going to stick with the one. And they've done a few other robots. Like they've got a Bumblebee. I don't think Bumblebee transforms. The Grimlock is impressive because he
Oh wow.
transforms like the G1 Dinobot Grimlock. So he's a walking sort of Godzilla shaped
Hmm.
T-Rex, but his feet are the hands, just like the original G1 Grimlock. I also don't know if the movie Optimus transforms. Let me actually pull that up real quick. Um,
The small one, I want to say,
I don't think
didn't it?
he does transform. I think he's just
Yeah, he's
a
more like Bumblebee, maybe.
robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like I think that's more like Bumblebee, where it's just they have a special collector base. I'm showing that on camera right now, but I think that's more just he's a walking, talking robot. The ones that really impress me are the transforming ones.
Of
So
course.
the
It.
flagship and the elite Optimus,
Hmm.
the Grimlock, and now this Megatron, just unbelievable. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, hey, when you're 40, Transformers will really do
Save
what
some of the
you
money you're getting right now till you're hitting 40,
imagine they
and in
would
that
do.
time you'll be able to buy the toy you think you're going to be buying now.
Right?
Don't waste your time playing with this original, this die cast, whatever. No, wait. Just wait 30 to 35 years or so. You'll be fine. You'll get it.
Yeah. I
No, no,
I
I'm
I, I
yeah,
kind of
look at
go
that.
hard on the like the Transformers collectible
Hmm.
YouTube channels. Like that's another, like I love YouTube horror, and I also love like YouTube Lego and YouTube Transformers. Um it is incredible. Like you'll see people like, oh well, this is a reissue of this mold, but it's got this paint job. I don't like what they've done with like the hinge joint in this elbow. And you're like, okay, there is a type of Transformers fandom that goes hard on like the rarity or the collectability of different sets and eras of Transformers toys.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better, I mean, because this stuff is expensive.
Hmm.
This is
Oh
not a
no.
toy I let Lex just play with. I'm with her and we do cool, like we've done a few like dancing macros of Optimus Prime trying to do like flossing and stuff like that. They haven't worked well, but we have a lot of fun doing them. Um, if you have a Transformers nut in the family, this is, I think, the most extreme collectability. The like everyone I've shown this to,
Hmm.
it blows their mind that it's a real thing and it really does what it promises to do. It's like every single time. Like I have the short where I make him transform for the first time,
Yeah.
and it's the shock and the glee of it working and like, oh my god, this just blew my mind. It's that face on every single person I've ever shown
And I
Optimus
got a chance to
transform.
see. I saw them, I think, at CES twice last year, and this
Hmm.
year and last year as well. They always show up. I think the Showstoppers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's Pepcom. It's Showstoppers, and they always have a nice little demo table, and they show us all the different ones. This year they had Grimlock, and they did have Optimus, but I didn't. I don't think they had obviously. Uh, Megatron wasn't available at this. I think at the time. Where that was
No.
just few
Yeah.
more months later, but it's exciting. Like you could see right there, like just the overall workability, the head movement, the jaw, all of that. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
Robosen. But yeah, no, I'm glad. We'll see. Hopefully, hey, maybe they'll call you up after this, and if there's a demo, I'll be over at your house doing some demos.
So I love, classic Transformers. Grimlock is cool, Megatron is awesome, but
Yeah.
like Optimus Prime has been my spirit animal since I was a kid. Again, the entire course of my career, it was because I figured out that the voice of um, Optimus Prime was the same voice as Carr from, he's the evil Knight Rider from the Knight
Oh,
Rider
sorry.
TV
Yeah, yeah.
show, KARR, not Knight's Automated Roving Robot. That sparked an entire journey for me in just being obsessed with who's doing the voice of what cartoons. And that kind of led into an entire career working in casting and talent in Hollywood. Like it's almost that linear of a path for me.
Yeah.
The other is Soundwave. My other favorite
I,
Transformer is
I
Soundwave,
was
just
I was
because
about to say,
he's,
how would they transform him? Because he transforms into such a static piece of
yeah, not
it-
interesting at all. You can't
yeah.
make a robot out of Soundwave, so I
I
don't
mean,
know that
you
I'll
can
ever
make him.
get.
It's just like if he transforms into a cassette, like okay,
The crane. No.
no,
But like what Robosen is doing, like I've got the Grimlock up on the screen share right now. I've worked with Greg Berger. I
oh,
got to like achieve some of my childhood, like I'm like a huge fan of these Dan Gilvezan. I did an entire commercial recording session. He was the original voice of Bumblebee. I got to work with Greg Berger. He's the original voice of Grimlock.
mhm.
I've not gotten to work with Frank Welker. He's above my pay grade. But like like these are voices that were iconic to me growing up, and it's one of the other things that I really appreciate about what Robosen is doing is that it's not just a cool robot that's kind of like a transformer you've seen. They're going and finding, like, while we still have them with us, God bless, the original voice actors. Peter Cullen is the voice of Optimus. Frank Welker is the voice of Megatron. Greg
Yeah,
Berger is the voice of this Grimlock. It's really like we were talking like you can see all the attention to the little details. It's such a labor of love to make something like this. I've been repeating myself, but I really can't think of a more extreme expression of Transformers fandom. So if you're a nut for this stuff, you at least need to go and watch the videos because it's just
Absolutely.
absolutely incredible that these toys exist.
And yeah, and they are just as cool as they look, which is this yeah. Again, I've seen them in real person, and I've seen them at your place. I've seen the different versions of them. Got a chance to
Yeah.
even talk to them, talk to the actual company itself, and it's just it's crazy. It's again things like this that I could not have told a younger version of myself, like that this is going to be a thing. They're going to make small enough toys or robots that they would basically be the size of the toy that you're trying to play with. It's like it actually will
Right?
happen. So yeah, no,
So
no, it's exciting.
good.
Oh
So
man,
yeah,
Megatron
I
though,
had to wrap up the show just like, hey, Megatron exists now. Hooray!
he's a thing. So watch out, close your doors, lock your doors. He's small enough that he can actually walk up and blow up he's a tank. He can actually blow up things. But
Pew, pew.
um, so for me, primarily, a lot of things kind of also coming up in the near term. Anything coming up from you for the rest of this week, or are you kind of working on stuff for maybe
I don't
upcoming?
know if it's gonna go public tomorrow, but it did go preview on Patreon today.
Hmm.
Um, if anyone has been catching our coverage of like Surface Pros and Robo and Kalas, and of
Yeah, yeah.
course we got to spend some time with Qualcomm checking out X Elite.
X Elite just
Um,
finally got announced. Actually, officially, there's like some more conversation on it. X Elite and
well,
I think
and
X Plus.
now I was gonna say we started seeing the rumors on X Plus also. Um, I put together sort of a primer on Windows on ARM, which is a little bit of a look back.
Hmm.
So that video just went live on Patreon. It won't be any startling revelation to folks that have actually been paying attention to this stuff. So a lot of the
Okay.
folks in our chat and on both of our channels have already seen the videos that we put out talking about like Windows on ARM is already doing everything that people are thinking Windows on ARM can't do.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of expressing. I did my X Elite video, and I don't know what kind of response yours got, but I got a lot of PC junkies coming in and saying things like, well, when it can do this, then I'll take Windows on ARM seriously. And it's like, you've been able to do that for years. I don't know where you get your tech news, but they seem to have let you down.
It,
So I
it's
put together a video saying like, here are some of the apps and programs that I use, some
mhm.
things that have been working really well, some things that still are kind of slow. But when we look at the performance of the 8CX Gen 3, the last generation Windows on ARM chip, it's actually significantly more performant than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
And when you put it in the right context of like, this is a chip that goes toe to toe against like 11th gen Intel Core i5s. Well, you wouldn't expect an Intel Core i5 to have these incredible capabilities.
Hmm.
It's a daily driver kind of laptop chip, and that's what we had.
Oh,
So
I
it
the
was
Surface
me,
Pro 9 5G was literally one of my favorite devices, and the Robo and Kala lived through it as
Romacala.
well. Yeah.
I'm still using the Robo and Kala a lot. And in fact, there are a few things that have gotten even better as a few other apps have quietly added. Like GIMP, of all programs, just sort of flipped a switch a couple months ago. And like,
Okay.
oh yeah, we've got ARM compatibility. So a lot of those early teething pains that we had years ago where you'd fire up like Photoshop and it was like, oh, this is running like garbage, quietly we're seeing a little bit more. You know how a couple was it not? Was it 2 weeks ago? We tried
Hmm.
to do a browser bench.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah,
were
yeah.
trying to
The
do
Chrome,
Chrome.
the official Chrome support for Windows on ARM. Yeah.
Another update, and now on the more mainstream channel of Chrome updates, Chrome is now outperforming Firefox in browser benchmarks. So when we
Okay.
were doing all of that speedometer testing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like again, it's like I think techies fall into this trap of, well, 5 years ago, someone said that this Surface X was garbage and too slow and not worth it for the monies. And I guess it just stayed exactly that way forever. Like they don't, they speculate on what that
Hmm.
might look like. So I put together a video that at least tries to correct for, there are a few gaps that I still feel are there, but the vast majority of these experiences are so much better than you think they might be. And hopefully, you know, if it doesn't go out tomorrow, it might go out over the weekend to do that public. So we'll see how it goes.
Good. Okay. I guess the internet has given us our clue, telling us that it's time for us to kind of sum up. Oh, you're back. Was it me that froze for you, or did you?
I didn't freeze it all, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, you guys in the chat can let us know which one of us froze for you, because for me, it was a different experience. Hopefully, I have some other things that I'm working on. A lot of small projects that I just need to start putting together. And actually, I'll say this: one of my favorite pieces of tech is that I like to review is outdoor e-bikes, and I got my hands on a retro looking motorcycle e-bike that just looks really cool, and it's a fat tire, and it runs really nice, and it goes for really long distances, and it's really cool. So yes, hopefully early next week for that video. And also I got a new gaming chair, putting out stuff like that. So just little things here and there, kind of finalizing. And it is actually our last episode of April, May. By next week it's gonna be May. Anyways, I gotta say that, and I'm gonna leave it.
You nerd.
I had to say
That's
it.
awesome.
It's done. We have Google I/O coming up in a couple of weeks, and so we'll see what Google endows us with. Hopefully the rumors and everything going on with the Pixel 8a that we're starting to see around will solidify. They're typically going to be launching it around Google I/O, as they typically launch the A series. But make sure catch Juan on Monday for the SGG QA. He'll be back on 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Links for him obviously will be in the description. Audio podcast as well. Hopefully will be up in the next day or so. But with that being said, I want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you to Barry Johnson for hanging out with me last week. And of course, again, welcome back, Mr. Juan Carlos Bagnell, some gadget guy, some Optimus Prime guy. Always, you know what I mean? But definitely not a three-body problem type of guy. Right there, dude. He's almost the size of your head. That's just like how crazy it is. Like you put it like
he's so big, and this is the little one.
And oh yeah, for sure. So we'll see you guys. Obviously with way more stuff, way more fun things. Juan's gonna have some quiet time now and just enjoy himself.
Just a little quality time.
Take care, everybody.